Welcome to One Brothas Mind, and I am KD Smooth. Today we will question and challenge popular information and views from a B1 perspective, while we expose the real facts you need. We do this to strengthen your logical, critical, and discerning thinking skills. Because in today's world, hard choices are mandatory and they come with consequences. So you need all the information. And at One Brothas Mind, we do this from a B1 Yeshua the Christ follower's perspective. Now, if you're not ready, you better get ready with Katie Smooth at One Brothas Mind. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's Katie Smooth coming back at you with a new report. I pray you all are doing well. Shalom, family. In today's report, we are going to discuss this issue on your screen. Yeah, most of you remember this Karren from the Victoria's Secret store situation. There's a new update, new development. As you see on your screen, it's being reported that this Karren has or may have a mental disability that contributed to this situation or caused it. Okay? Yeah, family. We're gonna get into this issue. I've been actually wanting to do a report on this topic and this issue myself personally. Full disclosure, Katie Smooth has a mentally disabled child. I'm a mentally disabled adult now, young adult now. So this issue is personal to me, okay? And the reports that are coming out are falling far, far short of the full information, the full truth, and it's being done on purpose. And we're going to discuss that here in this report, okay? As a part of this report, I'm going to share with you guys a recent clip from a report that was done on the TYT network from the Young Turks. A lot of people are, they kind of like that show or crew. They do okay sometimes and sometimes they don't. And in this report that they did, family, that I'm going to share a clip from you on, they failed miserably. And their failure in this report may actually be, it could be suspicious, could be being done on purpose, or maybe not. But we're going to look at their clip so you can see it for yourself as a part of this report, and then I'm going to explain what's happening, and we're going to dig into this issue. I'm not planning on keeping you long, family. So with that being said, if you appreciate our content here at One Brothas Mind, smash the like button, share this report on all your social media with all your peoples, and be sure to be subscribed to One Brothas Mind, where we bring you the information and facts you need. Okay, we're going to get right into this report here from the Young Turk show. Man, they did a horrible job with this report, and you're going to see why in a minute, okay? But I'm gonna let you see their report, or at least a clip from it. You can go to the TYT YouTube network and watch the full report for yourself if you want other information. But hey, we're gonna get right into this report, okay? And then we're gonna come back and chop it up from there. But we're gonna get into this report now. Here we go.
So that's not quite right, according to new information and new details that have come out. Now, the reason why we have new details is because Ukenta has decided to file a lawsuit against Elphick, against the mall, against the security, because she felt that they were negligent and that they didn't come to her aid quickly enough. But through these lawsuits, there's a discovery process, and through that discovery process, you learn more information about both parties involved. And after learning more information about the story, obviously it complicates the narrative, and it also makes me feel like a terrible person for just taking a viral video and reporting on it as if it was already adjudicated that Elphick was some terrible racist who did something terribly wrong.
Here comes the setup. It's a low pitch.
In reality, Elphick, 27, lives in a complex reserved for residents with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Her behavior stemmed not from a race-based problem, according to a complaint filed by her lawyers, but from fear that being filmed would lead to the loss of her apartment and job. Now look, living with developmental delays or mental health disorders in America is terrifying, and it's especially terrifying if you were able to secure some housing and a job, and that could all be threatened by someone filming you and putting that video out on the internet.
Everything she just spoke is absolutely true. The part that she just spoke about is absolutely true. Let's continue.
So with that context, the freak out makes a little more sense. Now, it's unclear of Elphick's exact diagnosis, but according to a copy of the Bergen United Ways Rental Association, physical crime, felony or misdemeanor against a person or persons and or their property could disqualify them from their housing. Luckily, Tom Toronto, the president of the county's United Way, which runs the residential complex where Elphick lives, called the video's aftermath a total loss of perspective and proportion.
Remember what she just said. That area's or that city's United Way runs the living facility where this Victoria's Secret's, what was called Victoria's Secret Karren, lives. Don't hold on to that. The United Way in that area runs the facility where she reportedly lives. Let's continue.
He said this: she has a disorder, she has anxiety, she had a meltdown. Then the world we live in took over and it became something entirely different than what it actually was. Because of the way that she was.
Remember the name, Tom Toronto. It's right here on the bottom right corner of their graphic. He's the president of the Bergen County's United Way. Remember that. Let's continue.
Is depicted, people did in fact try to get her fired, and they even threatened her life. As images of Elphick ricocheted around the world, an online commenter urged fellow viewers to contact a school district where Elphick had had an internship to demand that their racist employee be fired. She began getting harassing calls, and as recently as April, contacted the police to report that a man who referred to the Victoria's Secret video had called her and threatened to rape and kill her, court records show. Look, I don't know how you all feel about the updated details. I can only share how.
They have not provided all of the updated details. I'm gonna do it, but TYT and the Young Turks either purposely did not provide all the details needed in a report like this, or they just did this report to try to hurry up and get in front of everybody on this story, and they failed miserably on this report. When you do this, your report, when you fail, if you want to claim you are a journalist and you're doing journalism, when you fail to provide all of the information, your report or reports in most cases will be completely misleading. And that's what this report is doing. As you already have seen thus far, they've now, based on the way they put this report together, they're shifting the so-called negative view away from, I can't remember the lady's name that is called the Victoria's Secret, Karren, but they're shifting the negative view and responsibility from her or whatever was going on with her to, oh, the people that were upset, the people that complained, the people that thought this was a racial attack, they're the monsters. I'm going to show you very clearly why that's absolutely dangerous to do. Just as dangerous as it was, if this report is true, the part that this Victoria's Secret Karren actually does have a mental disability, if that part is true, it was dangerous for this original report and situation to be reported the way it was without that information. Do you see them? Do you see it? The original reports that came out months and months ago, whenever this thing actually happened and it first went viral, when you do a report on any topic, any issue, you have to be thorough. But in today's social media, everybody's trying to do TikTok or TikTok-like 2-minute videos. And most of the time, the videos and the reports are completely misleading. But most people who consume social media content or TikTok, most of y'all always say, well, like they tell me, KD Smooth, your videos are too long. Make them shorter and do this. And anybody got time to be there? No, you need the full information. You can only have responsible journalism when you provide full information. Doing reports with anything less, as the original report caused this Victoria's Secret Karren lady, as you guys have just heard, to receive all kind of negative responses, and people was requesting her to be fired and all this other stuff that TYT did report correctly. But people would not have done that if the original TikTok videos and reports that went viral would have explained, this is what happened, this is a terrible situation, but please don't go after this lady because it's been reported or confirmed that she has a mental disability. If that was reported in the very original viral reports and TikToks of this situation, that lady would not have came under attack. Do you see that? I'm gonna explain more of that here in just a moment. Let's finish this little clip here. Here we go.
How I feel about it, and I feel like a piece of trash, honestly, because I didn't even consider that maybe she has any mental health issues, or we just didn't know the full context.
There you go. That's exactly what I just said. And you still ain't reporting the full context. And I'll put it this way, not reporting all the information like you get here at One Brothas Mind causes people to have emotion or certain responses that are misguided and in many cases dangerous. Do you see that? Let's continue.
And we jumped on a story that was going viral, that was getting a lot of attention. And Waz, I feel a lot of remorse for doing some, not all, but some of these stories that demonize people without knowing the full details and possibly ruin their lives. And you forget sometimes that this job carries with it a lot of responsibility, because there's a lot of power involved in either improving people's lives or destroying people's lives.
There you go. Okay. So again, if you want to see this full report, go to TYT, Young Turks. You'll see it. Let me see if I can get the name here. That's the name of this report there. If you want to search for it, it's on YouTube. But not only is she feeling remorse, but they're doing it again. They're doing the exact same thing that they did the first time and most everybody else by not reporting all of the information like you get here at One Brothas Mind. Now they have a whole crew, whole production studio, all this whole team that they celebrate and talk about how they're trying to do what they're trying to do. But somehow they still, at least in this example, couldn't find a way originally and this time to provide all of the information. Do you see that? I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show it to you. But what she said at the very end, yeah, they're responsible. And everybody else or anybody else that does reports, that's why you got to be very careful on social media. And in most cases, people seeing these TikToks, y'all watching these TikToks, they ain't nowhere near giving you all the information. And y'all watching them and y'all just running with them. You cannot do that. You must seek out, if not some social media or video report, or you got to dig in and do more research on whatever just got you lit that you just watched on TikTok or TikTok-like videos. You got to then go do more research on it. You cannot just take that little couple of minute clip or an incomplete report for, oh, that's what happened. No. I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show it to you right now. All right, here we go. So you heard the report. They should feel bad. And they should feel bad for this updated report because it's trash. Here we go. All right. So the first thing that they left out, anytime if you're trying to do a report on the issue of mental disability, okay, you must report or communicate the fact that within the issue of mental disabilities or people with them, each person with a mental disability, as you see on your screen, there is a spectrum of severity. There are people with mental disabilities that have the least severity or least, level of mental disability. And then there are people that goes to the other end that have the greatest, the most severe mental disability level. Okay? And everybody that has a mental disability falls somewhere on this spectrum. Okay? Now, you didn't hear them include that in their report, did you? All right. And it's very important to understand this when you're looking at any report or article or issue, anything that's dealing with a person with a mental disability. This you have to lock in up front. Okay, off top. All right, next. Again, I told you I'm going to show you what they're leaving out. With the understanding the concept of that spectrum of severity, there are many people with mental disabilities that are on the, let's say here, on the least end of the spectrum. They have mental disabilities, but they're on the least end. Like, for example, with people with autism, there are people, what's the word? Oh man, I can't spit the word out right now. What's the word? Asperger's. That's it. Asperger's. Forgive me, family. There are people that have autism, but they're in the or on the least severity or severe end of the spectrum, and they're actually the word for it is Asperger's syndrome. So those people, for the most part, an example, are fully or near fully self-sufficient, self-functioning, no issues, no problems, but they do have a few, just a few struggles mentally, but in many cases, they're able to work full, regular jobs. They're able to live full or near full lives and so on and so forth, because their disability is not very severe, right? But again, there's people, as you go across that spectrum to the other end, the severity of the mental disability gets more and more severe. So when you're dealing with people, like say in this case with the Karren, the Victoria's Secret Karren, if it's true, and actually it don't take a rocket science to watch what happened in that original video, okay, and see how she literally lost it and broke down and was laying on the floor, just shaking her legs and screaming. It don't take a rocket science to figure out, hey, wait a minute. One or two things is the issue here. Either she's just that absolute crazy, or this lady has some sort of mental disability to break down like that, right? So, as you heard in the report, it's now coming out or being reported that this lady from the Victoria's Secret, she lives in a assisted living situation, and that's managed by the Red Cross in her city. Why? Because it's confirmed, if the report is true, that she has some level of a mental disability, right? Okay, great, fine. Let's assume that's absolutely true. All right? Every person, here's what another piece, a major piece that TYT, again, did not report. Every person with any type of diagnosed or known mental disability has other people or other entities assisting in the management of their health and their lives and their life's function, right? As you see on your screen, first, whoever the parent or legal guardian is, okay? Well, in this situation, this Victoria's Secret lady, Karren lady, living in a living facility managed by the Red Cross, there's a chance, more information will come out later, but there's a chance that she has a legal guardian at the very least, if not a parent still available. But if she's living in this facility, the Red Cross, that's ran by the Red Cross, has legal responsibility for her living arrangements and her daily activity and lives. Again, this is what's left out by TYT. Okay? If the Red Cross is not responsible for that, or in many cases, people with mental disabilities have maybe chaperones, that are paid chaperones to assist them when they go out into the community to do activities or shopping or whatever, like you see on your screen. Okay? In addition, whether it's a chaperone or a caregiver, same type of thing. And again, this is all based on the assessment of the severity of their mental disability. Some people need more assistance with mental disabilities than others. All right. But when you get into the issue of the living managers, which is in this case the Red Cross, chaperones, caregivers, and caseworkers, when you get into these entities, they all are paid, legally responsible entities. Even the psychologists, the board certified psychologists, they all play a role and are paid, therefore have legal responsibility in the management and care or the management of the needs of the person with the mental disability. You didn't hear TYT report any of this, did you? Again, I suspect it may be on purpose, or they just did just as bad of a jacked up job with this second report as they did with the first by leaving all this information out. Okay? And again, it may have been on purpose, because you got to be careful. A lot of times, wherever you're getting your information from, one, it's biased from the perspective or agenda that the source has. So that's why you just can't see one source and just take information from what they say and be like, and run with it. You can't do that. If you see some sort of report or information that grabs your attention, like, okay, start asking yourself some questions about the information that you just consumed. Usually, if you ask yourself some good questions and use your discernment, you start to see the holes that's in the information and report that you just viewed. Okay? But again, all these people on this list on your screen have legal responsibility to some degree, some more than others, but they all play a role legally responsible in managing the needs of people with mental disabilities. No matter how severe their disability is, or how minimum their severity is with their disability. If it's been already confirmed that they have it, they have all these type of people and entities in their lives. All right. And this lady at the Victoria's Secret, now with this living information come out, it had already been confirmed. So this lady has, or is supposed to have, most, if not all, of these entities in her life. Right? You say, why? Because with a person that has mental disabilities, when they go out in the community, again, they're supposed to have all these or most of these people and entities in their lives that are being legally responsible for them, mainly to keep them safe. Okay? Because people with mental disabilities, they're not aware because of their disability and may not know how to properly respond to everything out in the community when they go out in the community. So that's why they have all these people in their lives, or most of them, and people are there who are being paid, who have legal responsibility to help manage and provide the safety or care or monitoring and management that they need, so they always are safe. You understand? But again, TYT didn't report none of this. This is basic information because, again, if you, TYT, whoever, everybody that saw that, like I said, it didn't take a rocket science to figure it out. Either that woman was absolutely crazy or she had some sort of mental disability. That's one of the first things everybody said. Look at this, look, she on the floor just hollering, shaking. What's wrong? That's the obvious question, right? So if that's the case, then people, as I've just told you, that have these issues, they have all these or most of these type of people in their lives. TYT didn't report that. It may have been on purpose. You said, wow, you keep talking about if it's on purpose, KD Smooth. I got you. Stay with me. Because these are questions that automatically, once y'all seen the original video after what's wrong with her, these are the next questions. If you assumed or made up in your mind she's got to have some sort of mental issue, right? Then these are the questions, the next questions that start to roll through your mind. She's in this store, and what was reported was going on that she did toward this other black lady, being too close, following her around, and all this. And this black lady's like, hey, man, back up. You need to get back. You know, what are you doing? Get away from me. Okay. Possibly because of her mental disability, if this report is true. Okay, that type of stuff does happen. Okay, but again, that's why people with mental disabilities have chaperones, caregivers that are properly being cared for and managed. They have somebody with them that responds and sees that. Again, I have a mentally disabled son. We go out every day. Went to the grocery store today. Okay. But as a parent or the caregiver, the chaperone, you name it, I can't just go to the grocery store and walk around, do my grocery shopping and let my mentally disabled son just walk around, do whatever he wants to do. He may get in somebody's way. He may walk up close on somebody, all this type of stuff. He may say something to somebody. Anything can happen. It's my job and responsibility as his parent or caregiver or guardian or caseworker or chaperone, whatever the case may be, whoever's with them. It's their job to manage, to stay. You got to pay constant attention and know what they're doing and where they're at and keep them, near you at all times. So you can quickly respond if and when they're, invading someone's personal space or what have you, right? So again, on your screen, if she has a mental disability, which according to the report she does, and she's living in some sort of assisted care living facility that's managed by the Red Cross, okay? These next questions, some of these questions should start coming to your mind and more. Let's go through them. 1, how did this lady with a mental disability to this degree get to this Victoria's Secret store? And first off, just off the top, how did she get there? It looks like a store that may be inside of a mall or some sort of shopping complex. How did this lady with a mental disability get to this store seemingly by herself? Right? If there was nobody else involved and her assessment of her disability was she had the ability or was capable of going to stores by herself or going shopping by herself, whoever made that assessment failed this lady with this mental disability. They failed her and they're legally responsible for what happened to her. Do you get that? Another question, same thing. Why would this lady with the mental disability, with these limitations that she has, if it's true, why was she alone in the store? This lady should have had some sort of, whether it was her parent, a guardian, a caregiver, a caseworker, somebody with her when she goes out in the community. Because that person that's with her is who prevents things like this and every other thing from happening. That's what they're there for. If she had someone with her, even if they were, gave her a little bit of space, which is okay to do for some people with disabilities, so they can feel some sense of independence, okay, fine. You sit back, you watch it. And if the moment this lady with the reported disability started to be too close or in the personal space of another shopper, that caregiver, that chaperone immediately responds, if nothing else, calls her name out or goes to that area and puts a stop to it. Karren, back up. You're too close. Or whatever you need to do, but you stop it right there. And this situation would have never happened. Do you see that? Okay. Now, again, is being reported that she's from a living facility that's managed by the Red Cross. You heard it in the report. And they're talking about how sad of situation this is and all that. Wait a minute. How did this lady, if she lives there, how did she get from her living facility that the Red Cross manages by herself in this Victoria's Secret store? How did that happen? Because if she's living in a living facility, clearly she has what's being reported, a mental disability. If her assessments of her disability have been correct, she was supposed to have somebody with her when she goes out in the community. That's clear. There's nobody that remembers this video or goes back and watches it and says, nah, man, she needs some help. Nobody will say, no, she don't need no help. Everybody's like, wait, either she's just that crazy or she needs some help. You don't have to be a trained professional, a trained psychologist, board psychologist. You don't have to be none of those things to see that. She needs some help. So, again, Red Cross, how's she living in your facility and get from your living facility to this Victoria's Secret store appearing to be alone? Now, for those of us that know, the Red Cross could say, well, yeah, we're just the living facility. We're not the ones supposed to be, anyone that's supposed to be with her when she goes out in the community. We just are responsible for her living when she's here. But does she drive herself? Is she driving her own car? I mean, there's so many questions. Again, that goes back to the transportation question. How did she get to this store seemingly by herself with this mental disability that's being reported? You see that? Because if she has no chaperones, nobody, no guardian, nobody that's paid to be with her when she goes out into the outings, then the responsibility falls back onto the Red Cross living facility. Okay? Do you see that? And again, the Red Cross will say, well, no, we just responsible for when our clients are here inside the facility on our location. How did she get to this Victoria's Secret store? Answer that, Red Cross. By herself. So then it may even come down to, well, if she has nobody, no chaperone, no caregiver that has been assessed by her psychologist or psychiatrist, I should say, if her psychiatrist, everybody with a known diagnosed mental disability has a psychiatrist, a board certified psychiatrist. It's that person's job to assess all this information and this person's behaviors and determine if they need assistance when they're out in public, like a caregiver or a chaperone, or not. Are you following? So it may be an issue where her psychiatrist, board certified, for whatever reason, did not order or write it's basically like a prescription for a caregiver or approve a caregiver or a chaperone for this lady. It happens. So if that's the issue, then guess who's responsible for what happened? That psychiatrist that she has. It's in her medical records. If she doesn't have a psychiatrist, then you just keep walking it up the line. It goes to her primary care physician. How she's diagnosed with a mental disability and she don't have a psychiatrist that is her specialist. Because it's the psychiatrist that prescribes things of this nature and says, oh, this person needs assistance here or like this. So I'm going to prescribe a living facility of some sort. I'm going to prescribe a caregiver or chaperone for community outings. That's where all this stuff comes from. But it has to be prescribed and approved. Do you see that? So with none of that being there at this store, do you see where Red Cross, possibly her psychiatrist, the living facility, or if she had a caregiver with her, maybe let's look at that. Let's say there was a caregiver or a chaperone that was with her that day. But because normally she's okay, she does pretty good in the community by herself, that chaperone or caregiver went into a different store because they was at a mall or whatever and was like, go ahead and do your shopping. I'll be in there in a minute. So if she does have a chaperone or caregiver, that falls on the responsibility of that person. Do your job. Do you see? There's so many possibilities of who was responsible for letting this lady be in this store by herself and this whole situation happening if the report of her having a mental disability is true. And based on the Red Cross acknowledging that she lives in a facility that they manage, other than that, that's enough. That's all the truth and facts I need to say, yeah, she has a mental disability. So then you got to start asking all these questions and looking at all these other paid individuals that are legally responsible for who's responsible for this happening. Okay? So here's why I say, as you see the list on your screen, all these people responsible to some level or another for helping this lady as she goes out in the community, wherever she goes. And whoever on this list, it could be multiple entities or people, they failed her. But here's what, according to TYT's report and the information that is out at this time, here's what they're doing. On the right top corner of your screen, they're going, hey man, this just happened. It's nobody's fault. Nobody's responsible for this. We don't know. Hey, why are they doing that, family? It should be obvious. They are already trying to taint the information that's out to suggest that nobody's responsible for this. Some freak just happened, so let's just not worry about this. And by the way, nobody look at any of us. Parents, the guardians, the chaperone, caregivers, or caseworkers, and psychologists. Nobody look at any of us for any responsibility. Let's not do that. It's just happened. We're gonna fix the situation. We're gonna try to do better and just move on. Nah, don't fall for the soap. Don't bend over for the soap. And I'm actually glad that the sister, actually filed this lawsuit, because without her lawsuit, none of this information about her having a mental disability and living in a facility that was managed by the Red Cross, none of this would come out. So everybody would still be thinking that she's just crazy. Okay? But the trick that they're playing now is, I don't know, it just happened. Nobody's at fault here. Nothing to see here, move on. That's what they're doing. They're always trying to play this trick. Problem, there's always people or certain entities that are responsible for dropping the ball, for letting whatever the situation happen, because they weren't doing or didn't do their job correctly. So sister, if you come across this report, add these people and entities, add them all to your lawsuit, so they all have to come and report in the case what they have done and why they feel they're not responsible. Okay? And the responsible person or entity, or multiple people responsible, will be revealed even more. Okay? All right. So again, as I was saying, that's what'll happen, or what should happen as more information comes out in this video. Eventually, somebody, one person or one entity or multiple ones, are going to be like, nah, you dropped the ball. It ain't us. We did our part. We did everything we were supposed to do. Making sure she had a caregiver or a chaperone with her was your responsibility. Psychiatrist. And she didn't have one because you didn't want to give her none for whatever reason. A lot of times psychiatrists or psychologists, really I'm saying psychiatrists, whatever they have, they don't really want to just assign or approve for like a chaperone or something, because it costs the health care or health insurance more money to provide that. So some of them have the perspective, nah, this person don't really need that, and they oftentimes are absolutely wrong, and stuff like this happens. You see what I'm saying? Whatever the case may be. But again, if you add all of these titles to your lawsuit, sister, the truth will come out, because all of the people that are in her life that are legally responsible for her and her health, they're going to have to testify, or at least provide all the information on their role in her life and what they did, what they're responsible for. And the fool responsible for this happening will be revealed. Okay? All right. Now, with all that being said, and again, TYT, do better. Y'all got to do way better. Y'all can't keep putting out trash reports. Nobody can. This is information that is common knowledge. This is not secret. Now, nobody on TYT may have any experience or expertise with people with mental disabilities, and that could be the case. But when you're doing journalism, when you're doing reports, these are basic journalistic questions you ask. Why did this happen? That's it. Why? Oh, you got enough journalism in you to report that this lady lives in a assisted living facility ran by the Red Cross, but you still don't ask, well, then why was she at the store by herself? If this is true. That's the very next question that is supposed to come out of any human being's mouth. But do you see how trash of a report that TYT just did? Do you see it? Do better, TYT. Y'all got to do way, way better. And also, a side note, again, this is why you can't just take whatever information you get off the internet for face value. 9 times out of 10, the information is missing important information. Sometimes that's because people don't know what they're doing. They're not real journalists. And sometimes it's on purpose because they have an agenda. They're trying to swing your mindset on this issue or your emotion on this issue one way or another. Okay? Don't miss that. All right? Now, the next point that I want to make in this report here, as you guys know, oftentimes when there's some sort of Karren, Darren issue or others that we're going to talk about here in a minute, one of the first things that the Karens do is cry, or their family, all their mentally is disabled, or they have a mental issue. Right? Number one reason why they do that is because they don't want this person, this child, or whoever it is to be held legally responsible for what they have done. They don't want no consequence. They want to avoid, they want to get away scot-free, no problem. Right? And another reason why I'm doing this report is I want to spread it all around, spread it on, make this go viral. I want to do my part to help make sure that none of these other Karens and Darrens see this report from TYT and say, oh, I can just somehow claim to have a mental disability and everybody got to leave me alone. I don't have to be responsible or held accountable for what I did or what I'm doing. Do you see that? The more times that something crazy happens by Karren or Darren or others, and they actually get held some accountability. Most times there's no real legal accountability for them. They get away with them. They're filing and making false calls to the police, all kind of crap. They should be getting charges for this stuff. But in most cases, the police don't do nothing to them. Y'all know. But now, a lot of them, trust me, they're watching the situation. They're going, well, I have a mental disability, so you got to give me my job back. You can't fire me. You know, anything they can possibly use. They are, most of them, liars. And they'll say anything, use anything to get out of or escape being held accountable, especially legally accountable, for the satanic stuff that they're doing out here. Do you see that? Okay, let's continue. Now, as you guys already know, what we have going on all the time. We literally just had one down at seemingly at Morgan State that was just reported yesterday evening. Mass shootings. Now, here's a couple of things over on the right that I want to draw your attention to. Most mass shootings in the U.S., most mass shooters, let's say that, most mass deleters, unalivers, they are white brothers and sisters, or they at least identify as white. Okay? 2, law reform and gun control are usually not the focus with white mass shooters. They start talking about all kind of other things to do about it, but we ain't making no new laws, we ain't doing no kind of gun control. Right? Number 3, white shooters usually end up getting reported, as I already said, oh, they have some sort of mental issue, mental disability, or troubled history without previous arrest by law enforcement or intervention. Do you see that? They may have an issue and they may have committed previous crimes, and the police, the popo, they just keep arresting them, letting them go, arresting them, let them go, because they have white privilege. Do you see that, family? And then they do something finally where they're unaliving people, and now they're like, well, you know, the other person has a history, but we thought they were on the right path and we didn't expect this, so nobody's at fault here, move on, nothing to see. No. When people have a history, especially if they have a history of confirmed and or suspected mental issues, if it's suspected, the police are supposed to require, and police and everyone else involved are supposed to require that that person get evaluated by professionals so it can be determined if they really have a mental issue. And then if it's confirmed, then intervention, prescriptions, a plan of care must be put together for that person. From the first time, even when they was a young kid at the elementary school and they did their first odd or irregular thing. That's what's supposed to happen. And in that case, schools play a role in this. When the kids do something that's out of the ordinary, the school has a responsibility to spark the assessment and require it as well. So if a child does have an issue, the intervention, the evaluation can be done by professional psychiatrists or whoever, and it can be confirmed and a plan of care put together for that child, so they're not just running around here left to do whatever they're going to do next. Do you see that? So in those cases, if it's undiagnosed, the police or schools, they're responsible for not doing what they were supposed to do. Somebody swept it under the rug. That's the point. And whoever you able to find out swept it under the rug, if there's a history, they're responsible. They're the ones that need to be being sued and prosecuted. Okay? Now, point number 4 on your screen on the right is one more point I wanted to make. So-called black mass shooters are rare. It happens, but they're rare. And they're usually are in a response to some sort of racism or systematic racism and discrimination that has occurred to the person, so they are responding in defense or feeling a defense, defending themselves, or get back. Okay? But what you usually don't hear is, one, when black people do shootings, black kids, those shootings are used to target criminal laws, make new criminal laws. They almost never say, well, this black child has a mental issue here and really needs mental help. So everybody calm down. Everything you almost, the mainstream media, the cops, nobody just immediately. I mean, when it's a white person that does something, or Karren or Darren, a mass shooter or whatever the case, like this, almost immediately, regularly, it comes out and is reported this person has some sort of mental issue. When it's a black child or a black young person that does it, they never say that. Have you noticed that? Yeah, that tells you there's also some systematic white supremacy at play even in this issue. Okay? So, again, family, like I said, you add more to the list of potential people or entities that are responsible for what's happened. when it's a young school-age kids, the schools, and law enforcement if there's a history of issues or arrest. You see that? Add all these people to your lawsuit when you sue about these situations like this, or mass shootings by kids that they immediately jump out and say, oh, this poor child has a mental issue and was being bullied, and what can you do? Yeah, these people were the ones that supposed to have been doing something, that are legally responsible and were before whatever tragedy has occurred has happened. It's on the screen. All right. So with that said, family, these are the things that are left out of this trash TYT report by the Young Turks. Is it been left out by accident, or has it been left out on purpose? You be the judge. The point is, it's being left out. So they're literally guilty of doing the exact same thing, giving an incomplete, biased report. The first time, they've done it again. Because now they're trying to push and make people, especially many black people who felt this is horrible. This lady's got to be dealt with. The charges need to be filed. She needs to be sued. She needs to be all this other stuff. They're trying to make all those people, especially black people, feel bad now. Nah, bruh. Nah. Because if this information about her having a mental disability and living in a facility ran by the Red Cross, if this is true, they knew this when it first went viral. This ain't new. Why didn't that information come out and go viral as well? Everybody slow down, pump your brakes. This lady ain't really at fault. Somebody else is that was supposed to be there to help her and assist her. We're going to get to the bottom of it. Do you see that, family? So there you have it, family. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments on this, but you got to be very careful with where you get your information from. And Young TYT, Young Turks, my God, y'all got to do way better. Y'all trying to present yourself as journalists, and back to back, y'all do incomplete reports, which is swinging people's emotions and responses wildly. And as they even said in this report, that's dangerous. If y'all can't do complete reports, get off the air, man. Get off of social media. Stop it. It's dangerous. How y'all got all this and present yourself as some sort of information source, and y'all putting out dangerous, incomplete reports? It should make you question every report that you see coming from TYT. Because now you see they've been exposed. KD Smooth exposed them. Right here on One Brothas Mind. I'm one freaking person. Yeah, I have the benefit of experience with people with mental disabilities, but you don't even have to have that to just start asking the question, why did this happen? What's wrong with her? She needs some help. You don't have to know all the stuff I just shared with you to ask those basic questions and follow them journalistically, if that's a word. They're going to lead you to exact information I just shared with you in this report. Okay? So either do better or get off social media. Get out of the media. Do your job. You want people to respect your information, your journalism? Do a journalistic, thorough job. Okay? And this concludes this broadcast with One Brothas Mind. We thank you for joining us. And as a part of the new black media. B1 choices are mandatory, and being on code is required. But never fear, Yeshua the Christ is with you always. Shalom.